Sorry, guys, I was late. Time got away from me. I didn't realize what time it was.
No, you're good. We were literally just about to start. We're supposed to say a prayer and then start. All right. Hey Ben, you want to say a prayer for us, dude? I know how much you love getting put on the spot, so I just figured.
Yeah, I can do that.
Thanks, brother.
All right. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. I'm having a hard time hearing you guys. I need to get my speaker set up. All right. Father, yeah, we thank you for this day, this beautiful day here. I don't know how it is everywhere else for everybody, but we thank you for it nonetheless. And we thank you for letting us gather and study your word and be with you. And we ask that everything in this meeting is about you and nothing not from you. And we thank you for everything that you do for us. We ask that you bless this study, and we seek you diligently, and we ask all these things in your son's name, Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Awesome. Um, so just a quick little glimpse. Last week we read the first 5 chapters of Enoch. And we actually stopped right before 6 because we are about to step into the Watchers. Cool. All right. Before we begin, does anybody have anything or anything cool happen?
Well, yeah, I have something cool. Very cool. So we have the time change an hour earlier, and our day off is Friday, so we were wandering around, and it was just a weird day. Like, we just had to do a couple things at home and going here, going there, and it was just totally discombobulated. Go to this place, go to that place, come back. I don't know. So we finally end up Littleton Boulevard trying to wander around. There's a couple stores. And I ask, and it's coming on, getting closer to 5 o'clock, which it used to be 6 o'clock for Sabbath. So I'd asked around, is there any consignment stores or anything? Which those who know me know that's my favorite thing. Anyway, we go into this place and beautiful, gorgeous, high-end, really, really nice stuff. And I look and I'm like, oh, this looks like it might be consignment. And it was, but just the most beautiful things that I like and everything. Well, anyway, I found a coat there and I was like, well, can you guys hold it till Sunday? And this guy goes, well, of course. Or he said, yeah, we're closed tomorrow. And I said, Sabbath? And he goes, yes, we're closed. And this is downtown Littleton Boulevard. And I was like, really? And he goes, yeah, this is Rebecca. She's the owner. Yeah, we're closing right now for Sabbath. We had the neatest conversation with them. She has been open a year and she closes for Sabbath. She said, everybody said, how is your business going to make it? And she's like, we've been open a year. We're doing really well. And they close for Sabbath. She's Seventh-day Adventist. But she, pointed up, gave all the glory to God. And so anyway, I'm going to go back first thing Sunday morning, but I just was floored. I was so excited. I was just beside myself. I really kind of needed some encouragement and fellowship. And this is as nice as some of my favorite stores. Like, there's not many in Denver like this. So it was really, really thrilling. So yeah, it's just awesome.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, if we read, the Torah, it says if you do these things, you'll be blessed.
I don't know, besides Kenny, I don't know any businesses that close on Sabbath. Zero. I don't know of any. So
I've only seen one other business close on Sabbath. There was a computer business and they were Jewish. Outside of that,
yeah.
I was looking at a computer thing and they were closed for the whole week of Yom Kippur. And I was like, what? Or for Sukkot. And I was like, what? So outside of that, yeah, that's cool.
there were, there were 4,000 people at, Simchat Torah. I guess that's the other thing this week. We were getting our tires done and we were at the place getting the snow tires on last Friday. And we heard this guy behind us on the phone and he said, Shabbat Shalom. This was Friday morning. And he hangs up the phone. So I turned around and I said, Shabbat Shalom. He was waiting in the waiting room. So there again, we had this long conversation with this guy, but he goes to this Ralph Messer's big place here, and they have a gathering for Yom Kippur. 4,000 people they had this year. So there's at least 4,000 Messianics in this area, and they all, but they don't close for that. And Simchat Torah they sell things on Sabbath. That's why we went there once and don't go again. So, but the discouraging thing there is he was so excited and he's like, yeah, we actually do it a couple days early so that our rabbi can go to other states and do Yom Kippur with other groups. So they change even the day. They're not on the Enoch calendar, but they change the day so that he can do it early and go to other. He's like, so he can minister in other areas. And I was like, wow. Anyway. I guess that's why I was so shocked with this business and blessed.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there's a lot of people in this world who are willing to go 1 mile, but not the extra mile,
I guess I got something. I started back with the union, and as soon as I got to the job site, there's this dude there, and he noticed my zeets and stuff, and he started asking me questions, and well, now we talk like all the time. Like I'll be on my way doing something, then I'll cross paths with him, and we'll just sit there and talk for like 20 minutes. Like, all right, dude, I gotta go. We're both like, yeah, we gotta get back to work. But anyways, I'm gonna start doing Bible studies with him on Tuesday nights. He asked me to join his Bible study group that he's got going on. It's just a men's Bible study. So I have yet to join. I'm going to be doing it. This will be my first week coming up that I'm going to do it. So I think it's just pretty cool because don't really know anybody down here that is TO, observing Sabbath and all that. So it's kind of nice to meet somebody and actually get along with them.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Yeah, it's always nice to see somebody else. All right. Enoch, chapter 6. All right. And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied in those days that were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the Malachim, angels, the children of heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. And Simjaza, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear you will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone will have to pay the penalty of this great sin. And they all answered him and said, Let us all swear an oath, and bind ourselves by mutual imprecations, not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. And then they swore all together and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And they were all in 200, who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon. And they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And these are the names of their leaders: Simjaza, their leader, Arakabael, Ramael, Kokobael, Tamael, Ramael, Danael, Ezekiel, Berachiel, Asazel, Amoros, Beratael, Ananel, Zachiel, Samson Pael, Seratael, Turiel, Jomadiel, and Siriel. These are the chiefs of tens. So just quick, if you if you go back into Greek and Roman religion, not mythology, religion, you'll find that Mount Hermon is actually the place where the angels came down, and this is where they ruled from, and this is where the Clash of the Titans, which is their version of what we're about to read, actually occurs. So Mount Hermon is directly connected to all of this through other religions and beliefs where the gods descended down, Elohim, heavenly being, descended down, mated with women, and bore like Achilles, right? We see Achilles, Hercules. We see these people throughout Greek and Roman religion, these half god, half man, or 2/3 god and 1/3 man, whatever, these men who did these things, and they claim to be, oh, my father was a god and my mother was a mortal. Well, all this stuff takes place on Mount Hermon. All this stuff takes place in the same. So there we go. Enoch is watching this occur, and guess what there is? One language upon the earth. Guess what happens after Enoch? The Tower of Babel, where then we have many languages throughout the earth. So it's not too far-fetched to say that Greek and Roman religions are speaking of the same event that Enoch is speaking of. They're just speaking in a different language. And because they've been corrupted through these sons of Elohim who have been placed over the nations, right? Like the prince of Persia, the one that's placed over Persia, that's resisting. It says that the gods of Egypt, the Elohim of Egypt, not just showing man, but that the plagues of Mitzrayim were also to inflict the Elohim that were over the nation of Mitzrayim. These other gods, other Elohim, the watchers, right, and their offspring, we see it in other religions and beliefs. You got anything on 6, Kenny, before we go to 7?
Yeah, what's interesting is if you were to type in these names just on a like Kokabel, Ramael, look at you start to see the meanings of their names, and they're like legitimately recognized. Matter of fact, there's like a huge occult of Kokabel. They say, oh, he's a good angel, but other people think he's a bad angel. And they're actually having this conversation, and they're not recognizing it for what it is. It's some food for thought. One other thing is where the days of Jared, that gives us some interesting point of reference. You know that Jared is Enoch's dad, and it happened in his day. Back in my day, boys. It's one of those type of things. So it happened in his father's day. One other thing to remember is like Mount Hermon, and we pulled it up on the screen before, but what is on Mount Hermon right now? A lookout station, a United Nations lookout station. Looking out for what? Oh, just to keep peace between Syria and Israel. Really? I guarantee you that whole area, I guarantee you, money in the bank. There are tunnels in that area, and in those tunnels are caves, and in those caves, I guarantee you, are buried the bones of these fallen angels. Or not the fallen angels, but the Nephilim, the giants, the offspring. interesting thing. But oh, there you go. There it is. Blow that up, Zach, so people can see it. Mount Hermon, of all mountains, of all mountain ranges, of all the areas that you could put a base, why there? Of all places, look at that big old freaking satellite they got there. I would not doubt that that is an infrared satellite.
And it's a UN base too.
Yeah.
What
What are they looking for? Could it be that this area happens to be one of the angelic pathways into the physical realm? Could be. Just like if you look at for the Lucifer telescope it's either in Arizona, New Mexico area, something like that.
The Hubble, that's like Hubble but named Lucifer.
Yeah, something like that. Well, the only reason I knew about it is because Tom Horn brought it to light.
Yeah.
And
it's the Vatican. It's the Vatican's.
Yeah, the Vatican owns it. There you go, right there. Now look at that.
Southern Arizona.
Would you look at that. And so here's what's interesting about the placement of that particular telescope. It is one of the gateway areas of the First Nations people in that area. What nation was it? And they told them is Arizona. So they told them. So more than likely, it's probably Navajo. They told them, "Don't go there. That's sacred ground." And the Vatican was like, kiss my grits. We're going to set this up anyhow. And that's what they did. And they are not looking for stuff in the physical realm. They're looking for stuff in the spiritual realm, stuff that you cannot see with the physical eye, but only with the infrared. Interesting things that they're looking out for. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to know that. So, also, if you look into here, one of the names of one of these looks very familiar. The one called Cetrel. Sounds, I'm not saying that it is, but it sounds a lot like Saturn. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Saturn. What is Saturn? The god of? Well, Saturn is supposed to be the Lord of the Rings, and also the god of laws, and money. From what I hear, whether there's any truth to that, I don't know. However, interesting things that they taught mankind stemming from this mountain range.
Well,
go ahead, Zach.
Dude, I mean, why would they pick Mount Hermon? Interesting enough. Okay, we know scripture. Why would they pick this mountain in Arizona? Go look at the First Nations people and look at what they talked about on these mountains, and the Apache tribe considers this to be a sacred mountain. Interesting.
And sacred as in how? What do you mean sacred?
Exactly.
You got to ask this question. What do they view it as sacred? Well, if you go to this mountain, or even go to an adjacent mountain and observe this mountain range, orbs come out of the mountains. Beings come out of these mountains. What they call star people come out in and out of these mountains. That's Navajo, and I didn't realize it was Apache, but Navajo, they're all these so-called star people. That would be the fallen angels. Yeah. Interesting. So why would they call it sacred?
Yeah, exactly. So here it is. It's Mount Graham, and you can just look at it on your own. But look, it's funny. There's a monastery there. Why would there be a monastery there? You look at, if you follow the expansion of the Catholic Church, what you'll find is that any nation they went to, any tribe, any tongue, any religion, wherever that place said, this is the holiest place, Catholics put a monastery there. They either put it right on top of it, took over the building, and put some stained glass in it and a rosary, or they built a monastery using those people. Like here, it says, located in the Apache homeland south of the Western Apache Territory, the range is one of the Western Apache's 4 holiest mountains and considered sacred by all the region's native people. So it's not just Apache that see this as sacred. And if you look, like Kenny said, where this is, guess what butts up to Apache Nation? Navajos. Well, what are Navajo known for? Yeah, people that walk around with skinwalkers. So when we look at this, and then it's like, oh, here come the Catholics, and they put a monastery on it. It's not by chance, right? Definitely not by chance, but nonetheless, like Kenny was saying, you have all these people that, oh, well, this guy was a good guy because, like we're later going to read, he taught us the constellations. If it weren't for this angel, this heavenly being, we would not know what these constellations meant. Kind of interesting. All right, we'll do 7, and then I'm sure you have something on this too, Kenny.
Hey,
Yes.
before we move on,
Yes.
let's put this in proper sequence, proper timeline, so we understand when exactly did this happen. So, if we go to the book of Jasher and look at the dates and the history, and we can compare that with the dates written in the book of Genesis, we're going to see that this happened. It had to happen after Jared was born. So Jared, if I ain't mistaken, Jared lived like 700 years. So we'll just say mid of his lifetime. And it would it portends to be towards before Enoch's time. So it was in Jared's day, his father, because it would have, I would think that it would have told us, and in Enoch's days, this took place. But no, it was in Jared's days. So that would have been like, we'll just say roughly 700 from creation, the year 700 of creation. Well,
Where is it?
Back.
Where is it? Jasher 3 or Jasher 2?
It's in. It's the end of Jasher 2. So not 700. I misspoke. So between 500 and 600 years after the creation of the earth, this thing happens. Do you see it there? Jasher chapter 2, verse 37-ish.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so if you chronological these times, you're looking, Jared was born around 450, 460. Enoch was born 620 after creation. So somewhere around that, the sweet spot would be between 500 and 600. So between the year 500 and 600 from creation, that's when these angels came down. Well, why is that important? Because of when we start getting into the judgment of these angels and the judgment of Azazel, timelines are given. So you're only going to, it says, I'm going to skip to that part real quick. It says, you thought you were going to live an eternal life, but what you fail to realize is you're only going to live 500 years. Well, when did the flood happen? From the history that we have, when did the flood happen? What was it? 900 and what year? What year was the flood? So purportedly, the information that we have received through. Oh, let me look here in my. 1656. In the year from creation, the year 1656, according to all the Hebrew documents that we have, that is the date, and it is that date is important. 1656 from creation. The reason this is important is because not only is it written in the Talmud and it's regular thought amongst most Jews, but Josephus points this out as well. Well, why is that important? Because in the judgment of these giants, it talks about this. I'm jumping way ahead, but it's important. It says, no request will be granted of you shall be granted of their fathers on their behalf, for they hope to live an eternal life, and each of them will live 500 years. And the Lord said to Michael, go bind Samjaza. So, well, let's take a look at that. So, towards the end of Enoch's life, or life on this earth, if he was in fact born 622, you go into the future 365 years. That's going to put us at 1,000. What's the math on that? The end of let me do some math. 622 plus 365. 987 years after creation. So from 622 to 987, that's the window of Enoch's life. Well, it was towards the end of his life. Did we get into where the Watchers were asking him to make requests on their behalf?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, when we get into that, and when we start to really stop and think about and understand that they're going to live 500 years. So from the time Enoch said, hey, they think they're going to get an eternal life, but they're only going to live 500 years. Well, guess what? Towards the end of Enoch's life, all the way right up to the flood is the time frame. That's the end of their life. Before the flood happened, these Nephilim, half man, half angel, there were a battle amongst them. And Zach, are you prepared to go into detail what the Clash of the Titan battle was like?
No, but we can.
Well, it's important. The reason it's important is because later on we find out it says to Michael, wait a minute, Gabriel, proceed against the bastards and the reprobates, against the children of fornication, destroy the children of the Watchers from amongst men. Send them one against the other that they destroy each other in battle. So there was a huge battle. They were killing each other. And I tend to think one of the things that they were doing in this battle, not only were they battling each other, but they had technology to turn people into stone. And there are some proofs of these giant figures that have been turned to stone, and as through time, as their arms break off, magically rust starts where there is no metal. Rust stains are coming out, leading to the evidence of possible blood
Because the
at
iron.
one time in these beings or these
Yeah.
statues.
Because the
Well,
iron in their blood.
yeah, that's correct. So what's interesting about this is, so there was a huge battle before the flood, and these watchers got to see their loved ones destroy each other. The irony, the irony. But I didn't mean to really get into that, but it's important for us to understand the timeline. So from the time of the judgment went out, you got 500 years. 500 years pass through, a sword is given to these giants. They start hating each other, killing each other. Massive battle, Clash of the Titans starts to take place. And where does that lead us? That, hey guys, we got 120 years, we're going to build an ark. There's going to be some things coming from the sky, and there's going to be a massive flood. But let's see what brought up to that point, because there's some important things that were taught mankind, or not mankind. It was taught their sons, and their sons were teaching it to their wives. Interesting. Chapter 7, Zach.
Okay, yeah, we can definitely go into this a little more when we get into later, and I can bring up. But listen, Islam, Judaism, Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, all of these major religions that are upon the earth, they all have a story of a great deluge, right? The flood. And they all have a story of a huge battle occurring. If you go to the Bhagavad Gita, which is the Hindu book, it talks about how the gods came down and had a huge war on the earth. And that men were just basically like little pawns. They weren't even pawns. They were basically just an insignificant thing, right? That almost in the same sense that Goliath was looking at the Philistine and the Israelite army like, I'm not even worried about any of you. I'm not worried about 30 or 40 of you, right? That pales in comparison into what the Hindu, Taoism, Buddhist belief and the Bhagavad Gita talk about. And they talk about these gods. Where do you think Medusa comes from? You think all of these things are not made up. That is the number one issue with Christianity today. The supernatural is just that. It's fake. It is not real. It didn't exist. It was idiots who thought the earth was flat and thought that gods came down and were living with people. Those individuals are not intelligent like us. And they don't have the science and the proof and the carbon dating and they don't have all these things. They were stupid people. No, they weren't. You look at the mud flood, the great mud flood, right? You look at anything involved in that. And then you're saying these stupid people built these massive marble temples and then covered up a quarter of them or a third of them. And you're telling me that 35 Mormon guys rode horse and carriage with 40-foot marble pillars through treacherous terrain with no suspension on wooden wheels, and they didn't break and crack? That's asinine. That is insane for us to be reasonable adults and sit there and say, this is fathomable. This is sure. I don't know how they did it. I don't know how them Egyptians got all that pyramid up there with all that lie. I don't know how they put that gold cap up there. Must have been the helicopter. They flew it up there. These people were intelligent people, and part of their intelligence and their technology, we see it right here, and we're about to read about it when this knowledge is given unto these men. They were given knowledge men was never supposed to have. But these gods and these characters from mythology Where do you think they got the idea that Medusa turned people to stone? I know, I understand to just face value, like, well, this kind of sounds a little far-fetched. Okay, well, you believe in a guy who his dad's in heaven and he came down and died, and somehow his blood means you get to go to eternal life. But yeah, giants are crazy. So, all right, sorry. All right, Enoch 7. And all the others together, these are their leaders. But remember, there's 200 in all. These are the leaders of tens. All the others, right? So all the 100 to 200 of them, they took together with themselves wives. But angels aren't men. They can't do this. We'll see. And each one chose for himself one. And they began to go in to them and defile them with themselves. So, they made it with women. And they taught them charms and enchantments, cutting of roots, made them acquainted with plants. They became pregnant. They bore great giants whose height was 3,000 ells. You want to talk about this? Remember, sirens. We see that word, right? Witches, right? Wiccan. Look up the meaning of Wiccan. That's the religion that they fall under. Go look up Wiccan. Go look up the history of Wiccan and see what that root meaning word means and see where else it comes from. See what language it stems from. Maybe trace it back to something. Might make you wonder what it means. So, I don't know about that. You're just in the book of Enoch. What does the Bible say? Well, what does the Bible say? So let's flip over to Genesis chapter 6. We've been there a bunch of times and we're going to be there again. Genesis chapter 6, verse 1 down to 7, right? And it came to pass when men began to be numerous upon the earth that daughters were born to them. Men, human beings, their daughters, human women. And the sons of Elohim, the Benaiah Elohim, the sons of God, having seen the human daughters of men, they were beautiful, and they took to themselves wives of whom they chose. Wait, didn't we just read that? Didn't Enoch just say? And they took to themselves wives of whom they chose. Okay. And Yahweh Elohim said, my Ruach will not certainly remain among these men forever because they are flesh, but their days shall be 120. Now, the giants, the Nephilim, were upon the earth in those days, and after, when the sons of Elohim, the Benaiah Elohim, went into the daughters of men, and they bore children. Those were the giants, Nephilim of old, the men of renown. So,
Hey, Zach.
yep.
To add to that, Jasher, chapter 4, verse 18. It's not just saying it in one place. We're seeing it in multiple places. It states this. In verse 17, it says, every man made him to himself a god, and they robbed and plundered every man his neighbor, as well as his relative. And they corrupted the earth, and the earth was filled with violence. And their judges and rulers, this are the sons of the Elohim there. It says, and their judges and rulers went to the daughters of men and took their wives by force from their husbands according to their choice. And the sons of men in those days took from the cattle of the earth and the beasts of the field and the fowls of the air and taught the mixture of animals of one species with the other in order to provoke the Lord. And God saw the whole earth, and it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted its ways upon the earth, all men and all animals. This is when it was blotted out. He said, I'm going to blot it out.
which is exactly what Genesis says. Right? Is exactly what Genesis says. These evil things were occurring on the earth, and the Father said, "Hey, right? If we finish up Genesis 6, seeing that the wicked actions of men were multiplied upon the earth, and that everyone in his heart was intensely brooding over evil continually." Oh, so I can associate evil and wicked. What they were thinking about were evil things, and their actions were wicked. Huh, interesting. And then Elohim laid it on the heart that he made man upon the earth, and he pondered it deeply and said, "I will blot out man, whom I have made from the face of the earth." So just as we see Enoch, just as we see Jasher, hey, well, that's only one account, right? Now here's the second account. Well, let's go to the book of Judith. You probably don't have this in your Bible unless you have a Septuagint or a Septuagint-based text. Then you should have the book of Judith. But if we come to the book of Judith, and we come to chapter 16, and we go to verse 5, Judith is one of the few women that we see the Father use, right? But in Judith 16, 5 and 6, it says, "But Yahweh Almighty has thwarted them by the hand of a woman, for their mighty one," interesting, "was not brought down low by young men." What do you think she'd be referencing right there? I don't know, maybe when that mighty one, Goliath, was brought down by that young man, David? No titans. Interesting that this is the word used. Why is it titans? Because the Septuagint was what? Greek. What do we have in Greece? What do we have in Greek religion? Titans. Interesting, right? No titans struck him down, nor did tall giants assault him. But Judith, the daughter of Merai, overcame him by the beauty of her face. So I gotta be careful around women. I'm just kidding. But Judith is saying, hey, the mighty one was not brought low by a young man, David and Goliath, neither a titan, interesting, struck him down, nor did tall giants assault him. Ooh. Go look up Judith 16:6 in the Greek, and you'll see why she says titan and why she says giant. Because you'll see these Greek words. And we see that, the Nephilim and the Rephaim. We see these constantly throughout Scripture. So, next one, let's go to the book of Numbers, chapter 13. Right? Numbers, chapter 13. And we come down here to Numbers 13:33. "And there we saw the giants," the Nephilim, "and we were before them as locusts. Yeah, even so we were before them." Right? What's happening? 30. "And Caleb stayed the people from speaking before Moshe and said to him, 'No, we will go by all means, and will inherit it, and we will surely prevail against them.' But the men that went up together said, 'We will not go up, for we will by no means be able to go up against the nation, for they are much stronger than we. And they brought a horror of the land which we surveyed upon the children of Israel, saying, The land which we passed by to survey is the land that eats up its inhabitants.'" Oh, yeah, because it was rough to plot, and the land just ate the people up. No. The people in the land were eating people. Go back to the First Nations, the Anasazi. Go back to why were they building homes 300 feet on a cliffside? Why would you want to live there? That would make your life so difficult. Just daily tasks of anything. You're climbing 300 feet up and down a sheer cliff face. Why would we do that when we could just live right down by the creek, by the water like everybody else? All the people whom we saw in it are men of extraordinary stature. If I'm standing inside a Walmart and I see a guy 8 feet tall, I'm going to go, man, that guy's tall. But I'm not going to say he's an extraordinary stature. I'm not going to say I have the appearance of a locust in his eyes. I'm just going to say he's tall. Now, if a guy came in and this guy was like, I don't know, 20 or 30 feet tall, well, then I'm probably going to, I might say that I was like a locust to him. Right? So you just, let's be reasonable, because the story of, well, the Israelites, they were only like 5 feet tall. And these guys, they were like 8 feet tall. Guys, we're pouring unnecessary reasoning into the word. These men were of extraordinary stature. They were giants. Same word used we see in Genesis 6. Same people, right? We see before them, we were as locusts in their eyes, right?
Hey, Zach.
Yes.
One more thing about this giant thing. If you could indulge me, go to Isaiah 13:3.
Here you go.
All right. Take a look at here. This word, 13:3. All right. Oop. All right. This is Gibberai. This giant. Oh my gosh. Okay. Look at what's going to happen. This is the days of Yahweh, meaning this is something that's going to happen in the future. This has not happened yet. The vision which Yeshayahu, son of Amos, saw against Babel. Lift up a standard on the mountain of the plain. Exalt the voice to them. Beckon with the hand. Open the gate, you rulers. I give command and bring them. Giants are coming to fulfill my anger, rejoicing at the same time and insulting. Isn't that characteristic the same thing of what Goliath did?
Yeah.
He was mocking God. He was these guys, even though they're smart, they're strong, they're powerful, they're doing these things. And the Lord's like, yeah, they're doing these things. They're like a bunch of crazy monkeys, but they're doing what I'm, unbeknownst to them, they're doing what I'm commanding them to do, and they don't even know it. Oh wow. Oh wow, that changes our construct of how the Lord is in control of certain things, specifically giants. Well, interesting that takes place. It says this is what he saw against Babel. All right. A voice of many nations on the mountains, like that of many nations, a voice of kings and nations gathered together. And then it goes into the great war that's going to take place. But look, isn't that interesting? How could it be that giants are going to be returning? It's going to be more commonplace. Oh, we saw some giants over here. We saw some giants over here. Interesting. When people on YouTube film these giants on mountains, all of a sudden, like if you don't look quick and somehow save it offline,
Gone.
give it a month or two, it will be taken off the internet, and the person that posted it will disappear from the face of this earth. Interesting. Interest, just let that sink in a little bit. It's happened numerous times here in the United States. Even last year, there was 3 sightings of these giants. Things that were, one of them was just like, oh my goodness, I can't even wrap my head around this. This was mostly on the west coast of the United States, or where these things are being seen at. So
Yeah, there's a lot of sightings in Washington.
yeah, Washington, and these aren't Bigfoot. These are not to be confused with Bigfoot. These are like much bigger than a Bigfoot. Interestingly enough, in this area, matter of fact, Yosemite. If you look up the First Nations name of that, it says the man eaters. This is the area of man eaters. Is it not there that most people come up missing? Don't know what happened to them. They're just gone. Oh, a mountain lion must have got them, or there was must for as many people that go missing in that stretch of area, and this goes all the way up to what's that famous mountain range up there? Man, I drove past it many times. Sierra Nevada
Yosemite?
mountain range, that area right there. It's not that people are getting lost. They're being taken and they're disappearing. But of those people that are taking pictures or video footage, like real legitimate, this isn't AI generated. These are real deals. They're disappearing. If they post it on YouTube or if it gets out, those people disappear. All of a sudden they're fired, and then they just gone. Done. Interesting.
Another
Giants.
cool thing about Wyoming, because it's there, is Devil's Tower is right there over by that, not too close to that area, but it's in that area. And for Giants, I guess it wouldn't take that long to get to, which was a tree stump.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about all these plateaus too that
Yeah, they're all through that area, but Devil's Tower is like a prominent one in Wyoming.
So just to beat it, right? Beat a dead horse. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 2. Let's go to the final words of Moshe. So Deuteronomy chapter 2. And we're going to start at 20. And then we're going to dissect 21 a little bit. It says, it will be accounted a land of Rephaim, for the Rephaim dwelt there before, and the Amorites call them Zochachamin, a great nation and populace, mightier than you, as also the Enochim. Interesting. Yet Yahweh destroyed them from before them, and they inherited their land, and they dwelt there instead on this day. Well, let's go a little bit deeper into Deuteronomy 21. Right? A great and numerous people and tall. Tall as the Enochim. Well, what are the Enochim? Tall. They were a great and numerous people as tall as the Enochim. We look at this. Enochim, the descendants of Enoch. Wait, like the Anunnaki? Ooh, interesting. We look at these people. A giant people around Hebron and Philistine. Oh, wait, the Philistines? Don't we know one of them guys? Interesting. The Anakim and descendants of Anak, a clan noted for their extraordinary stature and strength. Interesting. And look at where else we see this in Deuteronomy and Joshua. And they all reference to these giant people who were regarded as equal in stature and height to the Rephaim, which we know as giants, an ancient category of giants. Later, we see people like Goliath. So,
Genesis 14 covers this as well. If you read it in the Septuagint, it reads different than in the King James. Genesis 14, 5 and 6.
yep. And in the 14th year came Chedorlaomer and the kings with him, and cut to pieces the giants in Ashtaroth and Camrim, and strong nations with them, and the Orameans to city save, and the Corians in the mountain of Seir to the turpentine tree of Pharaon, which is in the desert.
In it says that it cut in the Brentons, it says to cut to pieces the giants in Rephaim and Camaim and Zuzim with them, and the Emim in the city of Kitraim, which is the city of giants. Interesting.
So basically, what we're saying is, yeah, the Bible, the canonized Bible that we know of, and these other scriptures that were removed, they're all saying the same thing. The sons of Elohim, angels, mated with women, the Malachim mated with women, and bore to them great giants, who were of extraordinary stature, and to these men appeared to be like grasshoppers in the eyes of these giants. Right? And what did these giants do? Oh, the inhabitants, the land eats its inhabitants. Well, here we go. Back in Enoch 7, verse 4. These giants, all right, the giants right here, who consumed all the acquisitions of men, and when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. Ah, you have the case of like when people have these, massive animals in their homes, and these lions and these Komodo dragons. Well, eventually the animal outgrows its animalness and becomes what it was, a wild animal, and now turns on the hand that feeds. They were sustaining the giants for a time, but then all of a sudden they could no longer sustain, so the giants just devoured mankind. And what did these giants do? We read it in Jasher a little bit. It says in 5, and they began to sin against birds, beasts, reptiles, fish, and to devour one another's flesh, drinking the blood. Then the earth laid accusation against the lawless ones. Ooh, very interesting. Very, very interesting that this is what Enoch would have called them, lawless ones. This is a very, very, very important thing, because at the end of the time, the one thing, well, there's a lot, but one thing you definitely do not want to hear is what? Get away, you workers of lawlessness. I never knew you. Remember, Yeshua said what? In the end, there'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth, for many will come to me and say, Master, Master, have I not done mighty works in your name? Have I not cast out demons in your name? Have I not done these things in your name? And I will look to them and say, get back from me, you lawless ones, workers of iniquity, for I never knew you. In the end, the lawless one is who's leading the march against the Mashiach, the Messiah. So do we really want to be classified and grouped in and lumped in? Like Kenny was saying earlier, these people that are saying, oh, well, Kokobael, he taught us constellations. Okay, well, they're grouped into the people they birthed these individuals that are being called lawless ones, drinking of the blood, eating one another. Well, the Torah was not given yet. This doesn't make sense. Or maybe it's always existed as it exists today, because his standard for his people has not changed. Think about that. And Azazel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth and the art of working them, and bracelets and ornaments, and the use of anatomy, and the beautifying of the eyelids, and all kinds of costly stones and tinctures in color. Go look up these other religions and beliefs, because there is a God of sex and war in all of these religions. There is a God of sex and war. Those are always lumped together. And guess what Azazel's responsible for? War and beautifying of the woman, and in weird people, the man, right? This is the God of sex and war. Azazel. Remember that. That's important. And there arose much godlessness. Ooh, what did Enoch say in the very, very beginning that we read in Jude when he speaks of this? Go back to Jude on your own time. Go back to Enoch chapter 1 and remember who he's talking to and what he's talking about. There arose much godlessness. They committed fornication, and they were led astray and became corrupt in all their ways. Oh, what did Genesis 6 say? That they were wicked and evil and in all their ways. There was nothing, not even the thought of man was good. Not even the thought of man was good. Right? And Simjaza taught enchantments and root cuttings, witchcraft, sorcery, pharmakia. Amoros, the resolving of enchantments. Oh, here's a tincture to fix this spell or curse. Berchael taught astrology. Kokabel, the constellations. Oh, these are good angels. They taught us the signs of the sky. Ezekiel, the knowledge of clouds. Erichael, the signs of the earth. Shemasizel, the signs of the sun. Siriel, the course of the moon. And as men perished, they cried, and their cry went up to heaven. Let me cover these real quick, Kenny, and then I know you have stuff on this. Jump to Leviticus chapter 19. Leviticus 19. Leviticus 19, go to verse 31. You will not attend to those who have in them divining spirits, nor attach yourselves to enchanters, to pollute yourselves with them. I am Yahweh your Elohim. Okay. Now flip forward to Deuteronomy chapter 18. Deuteronomy 18, verse 9. And when you will have entered into the land which Yahweh your Elohim gives you, you will not learn to do according to the abominations of those nations. Okay? So let's just be real clear here. The Father said, when you go into the land, do not do these abominable things that these nations are doing. Well, what abominable things? Verse 10, there will not be found in you one who purges his son or his daughter with fire. Very interesting. Maybe this is attached to Molech. And then we find out it does. One who uses divination or deals with omens and augury. A sorcerer employing incantation. One who has in him a divining spirit and observer of signs, questioning the dead. For everyone that does these things is an abomination to Yahweh your Elohim. For because of these abominations of Yahweh will destroy them from before your face. You will be perfect before Yahweh your Elohim, for all these nations whose land you will inherit. They will listen to omens and divinations, but Yahweh your Elohim has not permitted you to do so. What did Rachel take from her father? Oh, yeah, the shrunken head. What did the shrunken head do? Told them omens, told them the future. But wait a minute. What else are they? Questioning the dead. Well, you can't talk to dead people. They're dead. That's silly. That's just made up stuff. Well, the Bible doesn't say it's made up. Observing the signs. What do you mean observing the signs? Interesting. Oh, yeah, that's right. Erechayel, the signs of the earth. Shamasael, the signs of the sun. What signs are these people observing? Oh, maybe the signs of the fallen angels, the watchers, have taught them. Who has in him a divining spirit, employing incantation, who deals with divination? These are all very interesting things because these are abominations. So to the common man today, he's going, guys, it's okay if my daughter dresses up as a witch for Halloween. It's not that serious, guys. We love Jesus. Oh, well, maybe it is. Maybe it is very serious. And maybe your love doesn't really go that far. And maybe you don't really know what love is. Maybe you're confused at all of this stuff, right? Not just this one thing. Because here clearly, it's an abomination. So, one more spot. Let's jump to 1 Chronicles chapter 10. 1 Chronicles chapter 10. 1 Chronicles chapter 10. We'll go down to verse 13. So Saul died for his transgressions, his sins, wherein he transgressed, he sinned against Elohim, for his lawlessness, where he was lawless against Elohim, against the word of Yahweh. Well, who's the word of Yahweh? Who's the word of Yahweh? Who? Oh, like Revelation. And he is known as the word of Yahweh. Oh, yeah, okay. For as much as he kept it not, because Saul inquired of a wizard or a necromancer, one who has a divining spirit in them, the witch of Endor, to seek counsel. And Samuel the prophet answered him. Man, this is kind of intense, isn't it? So you're telling me a dead guy was able to talk to Saul through this one who has divining spirits in them, this one who can, what did we just see? Question the dead. Oh. And he sought not Yahweh, so he slew him and turned the kingdom to David, the son of Jesse. Oh. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Let's just dissect verse 13 a little bit farther. What does this guy mean when he says that he went to a, right? We see wizard, depending on which translation you go to, right? We see wizard, we see medium, a medium, consulted a medium, asking one that had a familiar spirit, a divining spirit in them, right? In some translations, we see necromancy, right? This necromancer, this medium, this person who's this medium, who is this person who is regarding the spirit of the dead, right? And if we look into that, we see it's this word, root word, 178. Boab. And if we see this, apparently, right, someone who is a medium or a spirit. It's funny, a necromancer. And it's kind of funny if you think about this, okay? Because you know what else you can use this word for? A wineskin or a water skin or a jar. Why would they use it that? Why would that be associated with that? Right? A water skin or a jar, hence a necromancer. A bottle. Yeah, so look up jinns. Look up jinns and DJINN, jinns. And let's go look at Aladdin and a genie in a bottle. But let's also think about this. Where was that spirit living? Oh, that spirit was living in a bottle. But what if it says, and we just use some critical thinking, one who has in him a divining spirit? Oh, so this man or woman is the bottle. This man or woman is the wineskin. This man or woman is being used by this familiar spirit, this divining spirit, and now they're inside this person. Ah. So he goes to see one who has in him, in her, a divining spirit. And through this meeting, right, he can talk to Samuel. And we know it's Samuel, and we know it to be true because scripture tells us. But then Samuel prophesies and says, why have you done this thing? Yahweh is definitely against you. You've listened to nothing. You've understood no discipline and no repentance and repercussions. So now you and your sons are going to die in battle tomorrow. Remember? So think about this. Where would they have learned these things? Where would they have learned these things? Where do we think these things might have been learned? Well, right here. The Watchers. They taught them enchantments, root cuttings, resolving of enchantments, astrology, constellations, clouds, earth, signs of the sun, signs of the cloud, courses of the moon. So these Watchers not only taught that, but they taught them war. They taught them amplifying the body of a woman, beautifying of the eyelids, the use of anatomy, coloring tinctures, jewelry, makeup. And all that led to what? Fornication. And all that led to what? They were all led astray. And all that led to what? Everybody was corrupt in all of their ways. And all that led to what? Even their thoughts, as Genesis 6 says, even the thoughts of man, right? Not even the actions of man, but even, as Genesis 6 says, the thoughts of man. There was no even good thought right here. That everyone in his heart was intently brooding over evil continually. They didn't even have good intentions when they were doing their evil things. All right, I'll be quiet, Kenny. I know you got stuff.
All right. So for your notes, so you can get your facts together. When we read the book of Enoch and we pay attention to what it says, they devoured mankind, that's no mystery. They were eating men. And they began to sin against the birds and beasts and reptiles and fish. What did it mean by that? And this is why it's important for us to be well versed in multiple text. To me and you, we don't really understand what that looks like, but it does go into great detail, more a better, more specific instruction as far as a representation of what that means. Going back to Jasher, we read it earlier, but I'm just going to point this out. And the sons of men in those days took from the cattle of the earth, the beasts of the field, the
Hey,
fowls of
Bible
the air.
verse. Hey, verse, chapter verse 4.
Oh, I'm sorry. Chapter 4, verse 18. You're there. All right. They took from the cattle of the earth, the beasts of the field, the fowls of the air, and taught mixture of animals of one species with the other. So that is the definition of what this means. They began to sin against the birds, the beasts, and reptiles. And this is why I say, if we look in like Afghanistan, Iraq, and we see these things with a human head and wings of a, oh, Zach's pulling it up now. They got the feet of a cow, and they got the wings of an eagle on its shoulders. Like right there, that's a perfect example. The ones that didn't get blown up by ISIS. This is what you're seeing here is a testament of what they were doing pre-flood to piss off the Lord. At the end of the day, that's what it was. That's what they were doing. They were blending the species, and that is interesting. It's an interesting thing to consider. That covers chapter 7. And you finished up chapter 8.
Hey, here you go. Can you hear some on screen of some hieroglyphics?
Oh, yeah. Now, ain't that crazy? See, they're not making this stuff up. This isn't someone's imagination. They're only replicating something that they have seen.
Okay. I don't want to join the mailing list. There you go. A woman with bovine features, usually cow ears. All right. Oh, look, boom. And this is just, at the end of the day, this is just one belief. This is just one religion. This is not even, we're not even covering anything else. Just
go into the Hindu deities and look at their pictures.
Yeah.
It's just, that rabbit train goes deep, but
it does. Which, yeah, this goes very deep too, and it's really funny. I know we talked about it, but like when you look
like
at
the monkey men, the elephant man, they're blending the species. This is just testimony of something that they did pre-flood. So meaning we're really stupid. We're intellectually dumb down compared to what these were in the before the flood came.
Yep. And it's
like
funny too.
It's a mystery we can even feed ourselves. That's how.
I know, right? And so you see this guy right here with this like crazy bow that's got this like crazy arrow on it. This guy, they say that during that, we were talking about the wars earlier, and that during this war, that this guy, he could have ended it all, but his bow was so powerful that it would have just destroyed everything. Do you remember a long time ago, we talked about all of those nuclear-sized craters in like the Serbian Peninsula? This guy right here. I mean, you want to look at this, look at just brains. Let's use them. He's got a necklace of heads. Okay? We look at these things, right? And we look at these, the main ones here, right? And then we go, well, guys, there's the elephant, dude. Guys, these they're just made up beings, right? And then we go, it has nothing to do with, we don't believe in these things. We believe in science. We believe in science. So at the head of CERN, the particle colliding thing, at the head of CERN, look what's here. When you walk into CERN, look what you're running into. Oh, but don't worry, these gods have no these people were silly. They were dumb back then. They were worshiping these things. They were dumb. I don't know if you guys can still hear me. My internet's being silly, but I mean, if we just use our brains. Oh, my ads. Holy moly. Look, this is sitting out front of CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research. Very interesting. It looks like something you'd expect to find in a temple or an art museum, not a renowned scientific research center. Guys, we talked about this a long time ago. These people are asking these gods for knowledge that was never intended for man. These people are talking to these unclean spirits and worshiping these unclean spirits. And in return, they are gaining knowledge and they're gaining insight. We talked about this before. Albert Einstein. He says, I smoked my favorite pipe. That was tobacco. I sat in my chair in front of my fireplace and I went to another dimension in which these other dimensional beings taught me these things. And when I came back here, I wrote it all down. I have a whole PDF on it if anybody's ever interested. But I mean, guys, at the end of the day, this is what. And guys, where's CERN? Does anybody know where CERN is? Yeah, not India, where these people worship these gods, but it's sitting in Switzerland. You go to India and you expect to see Hindu gods. Okay, cool. That makes sense. You come to America and you expect to see a church with a cross on it. Sure, because America is a Christian nation. Which before I never admitted that because it didn't make sense. But now that I know who Christians are, yeah, it's a Christian nation. They're Christians. They believe in the Christian God. But it's just insane how tied in all these things are and how deep these things go. And then we look at it at face value. And then guys, all this stuff that we see and we talk about, it's like an actual threat if you allow it to be, right? If I am trying to fight these things, then I lose. If I allow him to fight them, then I win. It's easy as that. It's as simple as that. You want to say, well, these things are not connected, right? They're not connected to one another. Well, look at this. Okay, let's see this right here. What does this look like to you? Just that. Tell me. What does this look like to you? It looks like a man, right? Sure, that's a man. Right? So let me do this. If I can go back. Let's oh, now we get into the true understanding. Because guess what? You know what Shiva really is? A man and a woman. Oh, interesting. Where else do we see a man and a woman? Who also is known as the King of Serpents, which is also another title for Shiva. Oh, interesting. Wait, why would this man Hindu god also have a woman? Why would this Hindu god also be known as the king of serpents, the ruler of serpents? Interesting. Look, the first paradox is he's a man, right? The second paradox is that it's a man and a woman. He's a hermaphrodite and is said to have divided his body into halves, one male and the other female, to mate with him own self to have a new god, Brahma. This isn't this guy, this is. It goes a lot deeper, but you look into this and you go right to the Baphomet and you look at the Baphomet and it's the same thing. They all worshiped the same gods. And at the Tower of Babel, when all the languages split and divisions split, they all slowly started to separate themselves. And well, he's blue. He's not this. He's blue. And well, it's not a man, it's a woman. And it's these simple splits. And you're like, go look up how all of these religions claim that one of their gods split himself and mated with himself to bore another god. It's in all the religions. They're all just telling the same story. I know that was kind of a lot, sorry, but this is what, when Jasher says, like Kenny stated, mixture of animal species one to the other. They're only doing things that they've seen. They're only recreating things that they've seen. And these people, so you think they spent all this time to create these things and they didn't even exist? No, they were gods that they were worshiping. These were all gods. These griffins, right? All these things. They were real. People worshiped them and leaned on them. And this too, when we see Abraham talking to Nimrod, he's like, you worship these wood and stone, but they can't save you from this war. I just destroyed a bunch of them. You're claiming I destroyed a bunch of them, and they were helpless when I was destroying them. But somehow you can call upon this God in the heat of battle, and this thing that I easily destroyed is going to come and save you? That sounds crazy, isn't it? Did you have anything else for 8, Kenny? Or
yeah, hold on one second here. Nope. That's it.
all right. We'll do 9 and then we'll stop after 9 so we don't run too long. All right, chapter 9. And then Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel looked down from heaven and saw much blood being shed upon the earth, and all lawlessness being brought upon the earth. And they said one to another, the earth was made without inhabitants, cries the voice of their crying up to the gates of heaven. And now to you, you should highlight this in your Enochs, the set apart ones, the elect of the heaven, the souls of men make their suit. We'll get to this later in Enoch, saying, bring our cause before the Most High. Remember when Enoch goes down into the chambers and he says, who's that? And he says, oh, that's Abel crying suit unto the Most High. Abel's soul crying suit unto the Most High. And they said to Yahweh of the ages, Master of masters, Elohim of Elohim, King of kings, Elohim of the ages, the throne of your glory stands unto the throne, or to the generations of all the ages. And your name set apart and glorious and blessed unto all the ages. You have made all things, and power over all things you have. And all things are naked and open in your sight. And you see all things, and nothing can hide itself from you. You see what Azazel has done, who has taught all unrighteousness on earth and revealed the eternal secrets which were in heaven, which men were striving to learn. And to Simjaza, to whom you have given authority to bear rule over his associates. And they have gone into the daughters of men upon the earth, and have slept with the women, and have defiled themselves, and revealed to them all kinds of sins. And the women have bore giants, and the whole earth has thereby been filled with blood and unrighteousness. Now behold, the souls of those who have died are crying out, making their suit to the gates of heaven, and their lamentations have ascended and cannot cease because of the lawless deeds which are brought upon the earth. And you know all things before they come to pass. And you see all things, you do suffer them, and you do not say to us what we are to do to them in regard to these. So Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel see this stuff going on the earth. They hear the souls of men that were killed crying out, and they question, like, hey, we see all this stuff. You see what Azazel's done. You see what Simjaz has done. You see what these watchers have done. What do you say we are about to do to them? Right? You see all these things that come to pass before they have to pass. What are you telling us to go do to them? What do you want us to do? And we're not going to get into 10 because we're going to be doing a lot of reading. But they taught unrighteousness on earth and revealed the eternal secrets which were in heaven, which men were striving to learn. These things that men were not supposed to have knowledge of, these watchers brought it down and taught men these things. So then we go, well, because I hear like, well, why would God have made magic and all this stuff if it was so bad and so evil? Well, it was never intended for the use of man, because there is only evil continually in the hearts of men. And power is a very, very corruptible thing. Men with power equals devastation. I don't care who you claim it to be. Look at David. David had the power, and David did what? Saw a woman bathing, took her for himself, impregnated her out of fear for what would be the repercussions of that mistake that he used his kingship to obtain. Decided to use his power once again to kill the husband of Bathsheba. Send him to war into a place in which he knows for a fact he will never return from. Solomon used his wisdom to spread and to bring in all people from all over, and then also used his power to have 700 wives, and then used his power to build them statues to their gods and let them sacrifice to their gods. Saul had the ear of the people tickle him and decided to just obey the people. Power is can very easily corrupt man quickly, even good men, right? People like David, a man after the Father's own heart, was corrupted by his power. So the secrets and these things in heaven, this power, if you will, that were things up in heaven that had an intention, once brought into the hands of men, used in ways unintentional. Like it's in Jasher, we see that they made tinctures so that the women would drink and stay skinny. They basically gave them like the day after pill, essentially. They could go around and sleep with as many men as they wanted and sleep as many times as they wanted with their husbands, drink this stuff, and it would keep them slim by killing any babies. They wouldn't have, it's, I mean, that's happening today too. It's just instead of a drink, it's a clinic that they give you a pill. So, but enough of that. All right. You got anything else, Kenny?
Look where it says, the souls of those who have died are crying and making their suits to the gates of heaven. We'll cover it later on. However, if you were to put a note beside this and move forward into chapter 22 of Enoch, and you'll see some of the Cain
Abel?
Abel is not, I'm sure, is not the only one making their suit to the Most High. So let's look and see what it would look like for someone to bring their suit before the Most High. In chapter 22, we'll just start at 3. Then Raphael answered one of the holy angels who was with me and said to me, "These hollow places have been created for the very purpose that the spirits of the souls of the dead should assemble there. Yes, all the souls of the children of men should assemble there. And these places have been made to receive them to the day of their judgment, until their appointed period, till the great judgment that comes on them. I saw the spirit of a dead man making suit, and his fourth went forth to heaven and made suit and asked Raphael, the angel who was with me. And I said to him, this spirit, wait a minute. And I asked Raphael, the angel who was with me, and I said to him, this spirit which makes suit, whose is it? Whose voice goes forth and makes suit unto heaven? And he answered me, saying, this is the spirit which went forth from Abel, whom his brother Cain slew, and he makes suit against him till his seed is destroyed from the face of the earth, and his seed is annihilated from amongst the seed of men. Then I asked regarding it, and regarding all the hollow places, why one is separated from the other. So Abel is like, hey, this is all, him and all of his children are evil. How long is it going to be till justice is done? We see this same thing taking place in the book of Revelation. These people that are speaking to the Lord, that are, I think it's in chapter 6, verse 9. He opened the seal. I saw under the slaughter place the beings of those who were killed for the word of Elohim and for the witness which they held. They cried with a loud voice, saying, how long, O Master, set apart and true, till you judge and avenge our blood on those who dwell the earth? This is what that looks like. This is what they're doing. Why did we die? We were meant to live. We didn't see our full days because we were murdered, essentially. Good things happen to those in the spirit realm once you leave this earth, but until then, because those ones that were killed for for that purpose. They will be on the mountain of the Most High. Judgment will be given to those according to the latter part of, I believe it's Revelation 20, I think. But interesting. What does that look like? That's two instances of what that looks like. They're making their suit to the Lord, saying, hey, this isn't right. How long is it going to be till you annihilate these wicked people? It's kind of wild, right? You know, people don't think about what that looks like or make that connection of this is what that looks like. Interesting. I have nothing else for one other thing. I made comment years ago in the past about this, but when these angels are speaking to the Most High, look at the reverence with which they speak to him and how they make their supplication to the Lord. Interesting. It's interesting. It's not what we've been taught in churchianity at all. And obviously, in the beginning of chapter 9, you get these 4 new characters that are introduced here. If you haven't already, make a specific color for each one of them, because as we go along, there'll be 3 more that are added to the list. Have them all different colors. That way you can make a distinction of what each angel is in charge of. And some are in charge of these things. Some are in charge of those things. It plays, it's the beginning works, the framework of something bigger as we go further into this book of Enoch. That's it for the day, right? Zach?
Yeah, that's it. And when we get there later, we'll be falling back to some of the references we made today. Specifically when we get to their petition, like you were just saying, when they go to Enoch and say, hey, you're in good with him, you talk to him for us. We'll fall back onto some of these verses and references we read today, just to kind of refresh our memory as to the people, what they're asking, you know. But cool. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed the study today. If you if you had to walk away or whatever, the recording will go up on YouTube tonight. I'm gonna stop it now.